Yo, coming to you live, a little late, but we're coming to you live. Coming to you live on this beautiful Friday night on episode 31. Coming to you live. Sorry for the echo. Episode 31 of the Crossover Sports Podcast. Yes. Rocking out with Matt for my Trey fans. He is away at a chapter camp. He'll be back next week. He's wrapping up the chapter camp. Should be back Sunday, just in time for Mother's Day to celebrate his mama. But we are here. I'm rocking out with Matt. Be a two-man show today. So go ahead and introduce yourself or reintroduce yourself, Matt.
Hey, yo, how y'all doing? It's Matt here. Actually coming out of work, but other than that, it's a lot to get to these playoffs, including Charles Barkley actually talking crap about the NBA playoffs. I can't wait. So let's get this party started.
All right, let's get it done then. As we always start this show, I'm your hostess with the mostest slash hostess slash greatest host ever in podcast history, Colin Watson. I'm coming to you live. And as we always start this, John, we're going to start off with our crossover hot takes. For those of you that are new to the show, we start our crossover hot takes with two to three questions. And they're not necessarily sports related, but we try to keep a good balance of sports and something else. So let's talk about this one. Matt wasn't here last week. He had to celebrate his little sister's graduation from college, so he wasn't able to get it on the discussion last week with Jeff and us. But he's here right now, so he'll have his opportunity. So Matt, take off about the Adam Jones situation and why we don't talk more about race in your favorite sport, baseball. Take off, Matt.
Um, that is a very tough, for me, a very tough question to ask, being in the sport itself. You have to take a look at. You have to remember. I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Baseball, as far as the business side of things, you have to. Before Jackie Robinson, and even during that time, baseball was actually run by a boatload of Southerners. So therefore, they had their Southern viewpoints, they had their Southern ways, and one of them they carried over was racism. And even though we broke the color barrier of the modern era of baseball, even though that we have, you know, pretty much literally changed the game to where Bob Gibson even changed the game by even lowering the mound because he was that dominant. It shows what happened in Boston. It shows it's still alive. And on top of that, if I back it up a little bit, Adam Jones said something which I think was very. At first, I was kind of taken aback by it, but the more I thought about it, the more I could understand it. It's the fact that baseball is a white man's game. The game itself is not a white man's game, actually. The variation of said baseball goes as far back as Egypt, ancient Egypt. That's how far the game has gone. Now, as far as Major League Baseball operations, it is at one point it has become very I can't think of the word right now. It's not as accessible to African Americans as it is football or basketball because because baseball has been more suburban. It's been almost to the point where it's catering to white people or those who those who are who have the wherewithal to play the game. Versus baseball, you're pretty much scraping. And with the RBI leagues going out across the country, reviving baseball in the cities, the rise of minorities is coming up. But however, you still remember we're still in Trumplandia. We're still in Pumpkin Land, and the rise of racism and racist groups have exploded, literally, to the point where you got a lot of people who are more bolder than ever since, say, the 50s and 60s to spew out such venom towards people of color, towards immigrants, Muslims, you name it. And baseball has literally been in the forefront and in the background of every American thing, good or bad, particularly with civil rights movement, particularly with even as far as guys, men, ball players wearing afros. In Major League Baseball, you had to wear a hat anyway, but if you see the old baseball hats, baseball cards, excuse me, you can actually see the half of an afro puffing out while they're trying to play the game, which I thought was cool. You're still maintaining our identity. But even though baseball has taken a lot of strides to recognize and rectify the wrong, it's taking for the game itself is taking forever to catch up. And that's the problem with Major League Baseball, in my opinion. It's taking forever to realize you don't have enough of a presence of people of color. Football has become the national pastime now. It's surpassed it, and the NFL is pretty much a billion-dollar, if not multi-billion-dollar industry now. Baseball, which is a 162-game season, it takes a while. But, and then the people's attention spans with, I'm going off topic, whatever, but Major League Baseball has dealing with this race issue ever slowly, and in the worst, and then I don't say the worst way, in the wrong way, in my view, because you have to talk to the players, and the players have to step up, stand up, and pretty much speak their minds. Because if you don't, then you're handcuffing the sport. And on top of that, with Donald Trump in here, and talking about Mexicans and building a border wall, I'm disappointed to hear or see that I know of any Latinos or Mexicans or people of color speaking up against this set practices, because it will put Major League Baseball in a better light from a PR standpoint. But unfortunately, this being very safe, and it's proven time and time again, being safe does not work. It can kill a league, it can kill because the time to step up and stand up and everything else would be now. But it's unfortunate that I don't hear enough of that. So baseball is dragging its feet like it always done, with the exception. It's been dragging its feet, and this is no exception. It is very not only disappointing, but as a baseball fan, embarrassing, particularly as a black man that really loves this game.
Yes. So this question they had got more conservative, because last week the question was, is Boston the most racist city in our country? And I realized that wasn't fair to the people of Boston and the Massachusetts area, so I changed the question. Mid show last week. But I will say this: this happens way too much in Boston. Now, Matt tackled the question from a historical perspective. I did all that last week. I'm going to tackle it from a current perspective. Now, I'm not a current black baseball player like Matt is, but I'm going to tackle this from black players who said this happened way too much to them. And specifically, it only happened to them in Boston. And I'm going to cover it from two of the most prolific black pitchers from in the last.
Let me stop you there for a second, real quick, because another thing is the last team to integrate Major League Baseball was the Boston Red Sox. Just to let you know, the Boston Red Sox was the last team to integrate in baseball, and that's about 1948 or 49.
Well, that's not surprising, given the rise of the Irish in that city. The Irish didn't really like us in that city, so matter of fact, that's historic too. But anyway, I'm not tackling this from a historical perspective. CC Sabathia and David Price, two of the most prolific players in two of the most prolific black pitchers of the past decade, if you want to say that. David Price, a current Boston Red Sox, said that even before he was a Boston Red Sox, he would hear the N-word on multiple occasions in Boston. CC Sabathia said the only time he ever heard the N-word in his prolific career as a Cleveland Indian and a New York Yankee and the Milwaukee Brewer before that. Was it Milwaukee Brewer? I think so. Yeah. Milwaukee Brewer before that.
He was a Brewer first.
Okay, good. Yeah. Brewer, Indian, Yankee was always in Boston. Now, I know that, Boston gets a terrible rep for things that happen because of gangs of New York, the history with the Irish and black people up there and everything else that happened up there way before any of us were born. But Boston, I said this last week, I'll say it again. Boston may not be the most racist city in this country, but these things happen way too much in Boston. The fact that most players that play professional sports in the league that are not white can share a story about how the N-word has been used in Boston should tell you something about Boston, right? Now, I approach this from a perspective of their team, so I'll approach this again from a perspective of their teams, right? The two most vocal black athletes, other than Bill Russell, and they're not even black athletes that they had, were Pedro Martinez and David Ortiz, right? And so you think in a franchise, and to the Red Sox credit, they said this isn't allowed in their stadium and everything else. So the person was banned. So to their credit, I gave them credit last week. I give them credit this week, and the Major League Baseball credit, they shut it down. This probably happens in many stadiums all across the country, but it specifically happens way too much in Boston. And I don't want to give Boston a pass by saying, "Oh, well, this happens everywhere." No, this happens way too much in Boston, and it's a microcosm of something. Matt says a microcosm of the Donald Trump world, but I feel this was happening way before Donald Trump, and I'm not gonna give that one a pass by putting it all on President Trump, and we'll get to him in a minute too. But Boston, you got to clean up your act, man. You got to. The fact a town that has had Bill Russell, Pedro Martinez, David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, all in the same city. And I've yet to hear what Bill Russell actually said, but I think that Trey put up a quote from last week saying that Bill Russell at one point said that Boston is the flea market of racism, right? So even the greatest basketball player ever, said the city was racist. So there's not much room here in Boston. But I'm gonna say this: it happens way too much in Boston. Clean up your act. Figure out a way to be derogatory in another way. As Matt said, I did not know that the Red Sox were the last team to integrate. So that sort of makes a little bit more sense, but still shouldn't be tolerated in baseball. And baseball has its problems, as Matt pointed out, because they're really, other than Andrew McCutcheon and Adam Jones, I can't really. Oh, and not David Archer. That's not the Bulls' name. Chris Archer. Let me see. I'm trying to think of black players. Eric Thames and others. Can't really think of that many black players. So it has an outreach problem, and this does not help you when you have a sport that has an outreach problem, and now has the N word being shouted out. And the only real time you ever hear the N word shouted out in stadiums is in soccer stadiums in Europe, where they're a lot more overt in their racism than we ever will be. When they throw bananas, peanuts, watermelons, everything else at you in Europe, right? And you can ask Bartolo Bertoli about that. He's a black player that plays for the Italian national team, but still gets bananas thrown at him. Even though he's a multi-time champion and has helped Italy win some titles, still getting bananas thrown at him. This is something that needs to be addressed. I don't know how you necessarily address it, but this should not be tolerated in any way, no matter who's in the White House. And Boston especially has this happening way too much. I'm going to let Matt jump in because this is, he didn't ever.
Because here's the thing about Boston. I've been in Boston once. It's a nice city, don't get me wrong. But the town of Boston does have a history of racism in sports. It does have a history of racism. It is particularly, and I'm going to say it the way I want to say it, and I don't care because it's true. Even in Philadelphia, particularly with Jackie Robinson, when the Boston Braves, which is now the Atlanta Braves, of course he caught flack there, but actually he caught the worst flack in Philadelphia in Connie Mack Stadium. Rex Chapman pretty much gave Jackie Robinson hell, and after that season, they released the Phillies manager, and he never was in baseball ever again. So, but back to that point, Boston has always been that a racist town. I mean, you look at how their athletes are being lauded. I mean, from Tom Brady, Bobby Orr, Larry Bird, just to name a few. And not once do I hear anything about. Of course, they gave Paul Pierce, whatever. But you don't hear anything about. I barely hear anything about Bill Russell, Sam Jones, Casey Jones, the Boston Celtic greats, and many of them were black. The city itself, in my view, is not. To me, it's not a top. It's a top 10 sports town, but if you're a black athlete, I wouldn't do it. Only if you want to spurn the Yankees. But other than that, I wouldn't do it because it has that reputation and it hasn't let off yet. So, in my view, Boston has a lot to do. It's a lot to do and a lot to fix as far as their image is concerned. And Major League Baseball, in my view, has to find some way to step up and let their fan base know. Because believe it or not, Major League Baseball fosters a lot of conservative, right-wing conservative people as their fan base. But other than that, besides the 94 strike where they lost people anyway, but who cares? Other than that, it has an image problem. It's an ongoing image problem, and it has yet to be fixed. And as a fan, I am thoroughly disappointed that they are not doing enough to not kissing my ass, but literally just from a PR standpoint, they're doing everything they can to make sure this is not allowed in their 30 major league ballparks. Point blank simple.
Yeah, so that's how we're gonna close that one. This topic out. I'm not gonna completely destroy Matt's love for baseball. Let's go to our second topic, which is unfortunately Donald Trump then sunk to a new low. We've called him President Nixon on the show before, but he sunk to Nixonian levels, hiring the now former FBI director James Comey. So, with that as the main selling point to this question, Matt, is Donald Trump imploding? I know you can't wait to go ahead.
Yeah, that man's imploding. Shoot, it's like, look, we have this man has literally within little over 110 days has literally lost control. It is a dumpster fire. It is literally this man has literally 4, if not 5 reasons to be impeached. This man will not survive. Literally, he will not survive 4 years. He won't do it. I see this man actually resigning within 2 days, within the second year. It'll be lucky if he survives his first. But this man will not survive at least year 2. He won't. Because he has yet to understand how government works. There are laws. There are constitutions. You took an oath. That means that man took an oath saying that he will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, and he has not lived up to his promise. In fact, he's tried everything possible to literally rewrite the Constitution. You can't do that. That Constitution was in place for a reason, and you're gonna sit here and try to pretty much rewrite the book on the U.S. government? Have you lost your mind? Have you lost any sense of decency? Oh wait, you have none. It's gone. It's in the toilet. And in other words, I cannot say on this podcast right now because I already cussed anyway. So, Lord forgive me. The point is simply this. Your job is to run the country, manage the Constitution. That's protect and defend the Constitution. He has not done that. He has violated the Constitution. Not once, not twice, 4 times. 4 times. Excuse me. And with this Russia thing, this smells like Nixon all the way. It'll take, the reason I'm saying 2 years because the Republicans are too chicken to call him out on his nonsense. Way too chicken. So what do? In my humble opinion, this is where the midterms come into play. You vote that man out, you vote those Republicans out, that, enough Republicans, then you bring up articles for impeachment. Because this man has violated the Constitution, basically. And now, you're trying to you fired 3 people on the strength that you fire people on the strength that they're investigating you. That says something. You're hiding something from the American people. You're hiding from the government because they know something's up with you, and you're hiding something. So by you firing all these people, you hiding something. And chances are, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, chances are it is a duck and it's gonna quack. And it's gonna quack loud and hard. So, if I was a betting man, I got $200. I got $200. After 2 years, he's gone. He will be impeached, or he will resign because you realize you're facing against 330 million Americans who won't put up for this nonsense. Point blank. Now let the rednecks have their deal and put up the American flag and the Blue Lives Matter nonsense, because at the end of the day, people will see the truth for what it is. Point blank, simple. Your call.
Man, this man is imploding. He was imploding. He's basically been imploding all week since they put Sally Yates the thing. If you really want to get technical, his implosion started on Tuesday. Whatever the hearing was, I think it was Tuesday. Tuesday that hearing happened, and ever since then he's been unhinged. Like it wasn't a surprise after Sally Yates and James Clapper did their thing on Tuesday, where Sally Yates was basically having a barn fire with Ted Cruz and a bunch of other things. Then he fires the FBI director and then says, I think somebody pointed out, I think it was Trevor Noah, how gangster that was to just like the balls on this man to say, I'm firing James Comey, and the public reason I'm doing it is because of how he handled Hillary Clinton's emails. First off, let me be as honest with you, whether you're a Trump fan, a Trump voter, or whatever, or you're just blind, right? You can't fire somebody for something you were not president for, right? Now Barack Obama fired him for that. All of y'all would have been like, "Oh, he's protecting crooked Hillary. Oh, he should be impeached." Matter of fact, I'm not even hesitant to say it. I bet that if a President Obama or a President Clinton, either one would have did it, they both the Republicans would have been drawing up impeachment papers as soon as the presidential pen sealed the man's fate. And right, but because it's Donald Trump and so many Republicans are scared of the rabid fan base, yeah, that's what y'all are. Y'all are fans. Y'all not voters. You're a fan, right? Of the rabid fan base, they don't want to make a move. Let me tell you something, man. It is high time for Republicans, moderate Democrats, blind loyalists. It's time for blind loyalty to die. Because right now we are in a constitutional crisis. We have a man who is so scared and of a thorough, I won't even say a thorough investigation into Russia, right? Because as Matt said, this is a man that is hiding something. Because first off, you fire Sally Yates, then you fire the guy Preet Bharara, who is the New York district attorney for the government, and fire him because he was investigating Fox News and a lot of other things in the Trump. Find out the federal government not only is investigating Trump, but is also investigating Fox News, Breitbart, and all these other conservative websites as I was about to say Ukrainian, as Russian as Kremlin fronts, and WikiLeaks and being on the same level as WikiLeaks as false information and Russian spy fronts and everything else. So I'm literally saying that if Donald Trump goes down, right, and they find that he's and this is allegedly because the investigations are yet to be wrapped up. But so basically, if Trump goes down, you realize that the silver lining to all that is Fox News goes down, Breitbart goes down, The Blaze and others go down. I'm sorry if this is your news site, if those are your news sites and you like this show, but I am so waiting to see if the government finds out that channels like Fox News and others are Russian misinformation fronts and other fronts. So I'm just saying, bring on the investigation. Matter of fact, I don't think he'll last till December. With the way this is heating up as we get into the slow months of the summer, where people have more time, I actually think he'll be done by August, Matt, because the way these investigations are going and how now he's pissed off the FBI, along with the CIA and the other organizations he's pissed off in this country. I don't think he'll last past August, to be honest with you. I'm just waiting for the bomb to be dropped, man. So, yeah, imploding since Tuesday.
My birthday though, my birthday month though, really? Damn, give me September. I mean, come on.
Hey, man. I was about to say July, but I want to enjoy my birthday month, so August. He gonna get it done in August, or maybe in an even sweeter turn of events, November 8th, 2017, he'll lose his job. I don't know. I don't know when guy gonna do it, but it's whenever. So I just pray that he don't do nothing too stupid while he sees the walls are closing in. Matt, you can get back in.
Look, bottom line is simply this: resign or impeach. It's going to happen. Now, let's say worst case scenario, he survives 4 years, and somehow, some way, he has his head turned on straight and figure out how this country is supposed to be run. Now, as far as that's concerned, that's a miracle. And I don't now. Oh, I really don't want it to happen, but if it does happen, good for him. But still, the damage has already been done. Your job is to protect and defend the Constitution, and you haven't done that, or he hasn't done that. Breitbart, Fox News, a lot of right wing conservatives. Even I will take it this far. I had to literally stop myself from watching 700 Club years ago because of Pat Robertson and his right wing, you done lost your damn mind type of thinking. And it's scary to me. And when I was watching something on Christian Broadcasting Network where they were asking Trump, I believe, some very softball questions, particularly about Muslims, the Muslims, and Christianity and everything else. And as a Christian man, it wasn't the answers that I was looking for or answers that tickle my fancy. I'm like, okay, it has to be something substantial. Which, by the way, we're not gonna get it anyway. It was something substantial that I was hoping to hear that was basically biblically based as far as taking care of each other and everything else is concerned. And not only did I not hear that, which was no shock and surprise, but the fact that the questions that were asked was like, you call this real news? We already know what the 700 Club / CBN is. We already know what that is. It's just basically religious Fox News on steroids, only on the low. So with that being said, it's time to speak up, rise up, and pretty much let the government know we're not stupid. We're not going to play this game over and over again. This is literally the 60s all over again. I hope that we learned a lesson from the 60s, which I think we have not. And basically, distrust from the government is going to be running rampant for a long time after this presidency. Point blank. And one more thing, if and when this happens, the Republican Party will not only never be the same, but you will see pretty much it's now going to be Tea Party versus the Progressives. That's it. That's the way. That's where we're going, and it's going to be so far split. It's ridiculous.
Matt's being too nice. When this happens, you will never see a Republican president ever again. Matter of fact, I'll go so far as to say this. You'll never see a president, Republican or Democrat, who comes in here talking about race, talking about anything. Basically, if you do anything in President Trump's playbook from now on, you will never get elected again, right? It don't matter if you are a Tea Partier, a progressive. If you play the line of this is our country, let's make America great again. No. We are not watching we're not just watching the implosion of Donald Trump. We are watching the extreme eradication of what do you call it? Populist idealism and anything deal and basically anything dealing the extreme right. That's what I'm going to call it. The extreme racist right. This is the end of that. When this implodes, when this goes down, it's going to go down like the Bon Jovi song in a really, really great blaze of glory. And when it goes down, I'm telling you now, and I have no problem saying it because I got a long time to live on this earth, and I'll be sure to be, and I'll be one of the people to make sure it never happens. No Republican, I don't care moderate, anything else. If you claim republicanism, you shouldn't you. I think we're gonna witness an extinction level event of the Republican Party. Because most people are going to be like, how can you, as a Republican, just let this go on? And you're supposed to be the most patriotic party out there. And you're just letting this man just destroy the Constitution and destroy the country from within. Matt's being too nice. No, we're gonna witness the extinction of the Republican Party and all those extreme conservative ideas that we hoped died with our grandparents will be eradicated. And we won't have to worry about it no more. That's what I think. Matt's being way too nice. It's dead. The Rush Limbaughs, the Bill O'Reillys, all that will be exterminated and extinct. And I can't wait for it to happen. This is no knock on Republicans. I have some very, very decent and good Republican and conservative friends, no knock on them. But we're about to witness, when this goes down, the eradication of the Republican Party. And I can't wait to see it, and then to see how the people that are left after the dumpster fire goes wild, see what they do, see what they become, see a new party or whatever come up in the place of the Republican Party. Moving right along. Did James Harden quit last night? Go ahead, Matt. Matt, you.
I'm gonna let you take it for right now, so I'm gonna wait for you.
Okay. Did James Harden quit last night? No, I don't really want to say that. He didn't quit. He just was outplayed. He didn't play well enough to win, to help his team. Well, not for him himself to win, but for his team to win. He only shot the ball 11 times, turned the ball over more than that, about 9 to 10 times. He just didn't play like a man who wanted to win. He played like a man who was trying to play not to lose, right? And we talked about this on this podcast before, where you play not to lose and you wind up hurting your team. We talked about this in reference to game managers and different things on this podcast, because we get it. We, as you can hear from last week and this week, we really do get into the weeds when it comes to these topics on this podcast. And sorry to my friends of to my viewers. The last 2 weeks have been overly political. This is what it is. Donald Trump takes us to different places. And we're going and back on topic to James Harden. He didn't really quit, but he might have been injured. I think they say he injured his ankle, so that probably had a lot to do with it also. And he just really yesterday just played like a man who wasn't trying to lose, and he wound up being the main reason, but not the only reason that his team lost. Houston just never recovered. They had the game handed to them. Kawhi Leonard was out. Tony Parker got injured. It was wide open for them, and they just couldn't grab the brass ring. And so now San Antonio is going to, play Golden State and probably lose, but we'll see. And it'll be a competitive series. Hopefully both of these series will be competitive. Whoever wins between Boston and the Wizards tonight to see who's going to go face the Cavaliers. Hopefully, both of these conference finals will be competitive. That's really all we can ask for. And Matt has not been paying attention to playoff basketball, so we'll move right along to the.
Truly, watch this. I'm glad I went fishing because first of all, full on well, you won the MVP, and you're playing the San Antonio Spurs, and you lay down like that. I have a problem with that because I don't, I don't care if you're hurt or not. If you say you're ready to go and you're ready to play, you're supposed to be ready. And the Houston Rockets laid down. No Tony Parker. Kawhi Leonard's not available, semi-available. And that was the game you were supposed to take. And instead, the Houston Rockets laid down. I have a problem with that because at least you could have extended the series, but you didn't. You laid down. You played not to lose. When you play not to lose, you have a problem. When you have a problem, all hell breaks loose. So, Houston has been a dumpster fire since the season began, if not the year before. So, with that being said, I'm gonna keep it a beam here on this one. James, the way he played that game, he played not as an MVP. Bottom line, if you were supposed to be the MVP of the league, you're supposed to play like one, and he did not. So, with that being said, it is if I was playing, I'd be totally embarrassed. Alone, but the fact that the display that thankfully I did not see. Thank God I went fishing. But to go out there and lose by let's call it for what it is, 40 points in the playoffs, 40-0 is an embarrassment to your not only the franchise but to the city of Houston. So, with that being said, if I lost by 40, I don't care if he lost by 37. No, he lost by 40. I hope and pray that James Harden is mad and man enough to work out as hard as he can to think about I will not lose by 40 points in the playoffs ever again to the San Antonio Spurs that way. It's unacceptable. Bottom line, it is just flat out unacceptable. Even a violation.
Okay. Yeah, so we covered both sides of the spectrum on that one. Yeah, so yeah, if you believe in curses, Lil B says he cursed James Harden. But James Harden just lied. The whole team really just laid down and gave it to San Antonio, which is amazing considering that that San Antonio team didn't really have anybody that scared you. LaMarcus Aldridge finally woke up, so we should point that one out too. The LaMarcus Aldridge factor played a role in it too. But San Antonio versus Golden State now, and now James Harden has to live with failing again and being so close and not being able to show up during elimination games. But moving right along to Matt's second favorite sport, is it time? I'm so mad Tristiani couldn't be here for this one. Is it time for the Capitals to move on from Ovechkin? Go ahead, Matt.
No. I mean, first of all, when you play the Penguins, that's a tough team. No matter how you slice, that's a tough team. So, to be down, I think 3-0 in any playoff series is tough. And then try to win 3-4 straight to win the series. That's a tough. You're asking for a lot. So I I think that team needs about a player or two away just to beat the Penguins, literally, because that's the best team. That's the best team in the East. And even though you had Sidney Crosby out with a concussion for a game and everything else, that Penguins, that Caps team is literally that's a tough team. That's a good team, and to break it up and ship Ovechkin elsewhere would be a terrible mistake. So I would retool it. Not retool it. What's what I'm looking for? Reload. If I would just reload, get find a player or two that will actually get you over that hump. Like Washington, it's the same division as the Pens. I'm not sure. I gotta check, but no, they're not. They're a different division. But yeah, as far as that's concerned, uh, they just need to reload. Give it try it 1 2 more years before you can break it up. So reload it, see what happens.
All right. Well, before I start, I should mention if we're doing missions here before we weigh into these topics. Yeah, I don't really watch hockey, but I know about who, but I got the gist of it. There's playoff hockey as well as playoff basketball. But Alex Ovechkin is 32 years old. Uh, and I assume that's old for a hockey player. Matt can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that for the
Not really. It's like hockey players can last until their late 30s, early 40s, depending on their bodies.
so he's 32, right? And they've had him for double digit years, 10, 11, 12 years, and this is as far as they get every year with him. And that's not really his fault. But they haven't really built around him. Now, from what I hear about the Capitals, they have a very loaded team outside of Ovechkin. So, both all of their hot guns, their young guns must have been shut down by the Penguins because they lost 2 or 3 to nothing, right? So you have a team on there with Oshie on it and many others, and and you're just not able to get over the hump with all that talent that you have. Well, I think it's time because this is the LA Clippers argument where if you've been in the situation for that long, 6, 7, 10 years, you've been with a franchise and you haven't brought a championship, and you're supposed to be a top two player. Now I know hockey is, you know, uh, based on everybody and not just the individual player. But at some point, your greatness has to get you past the second round. It's the reason why we kill a lot of other superstars for not being able to get past the second round. I mean, heck, we kill Carmelo Anthony for never being able to get out of the second round. So Alexander Ovechkin deserves, and I know that more people watch baseball than watch hockey, but you know there is a talent to be said when you can be in a place for that long, and for people to only think about trading you now at age 32 than before that when you were losing in the second round. How you got a second or third contract, because I think he's on his second or third contract since he came in the league, and not have somebody say, "Well, hey, maybe we should trade the guy." And how this many years he's been with us, we always go to the second round and we don't do anything, right? Other players have been traded for less. I'm looking at you, Donovan McNabb. and there have been Shaquille O'Neal. Other players have been gotten rid of with way more success than he's ever had in his life, ever had in his career, and they still got shipped. So I don't know what makes this man any different. And like I said, I know Alexander Ovechkin is a top two player, and so for him to be a top two player, and to this point at age 32, basically as Matt pointed out, as Matt already submitted, basically in the later half of your career, and you've only been able to take your team to the second round, sir. No, no. In my opinion, it would be about you're basically stuck with him now because who wants a 32-year-old in their lineup, right? And his trade value is gone, and anything that you would have gotten back that would come in and impact your team right away is gone now because that man's 32. And I know, like I said, it's a team thing, but again, for being in the league 12, 13, 14 years and to only have second round appearances on your resume, that's not a good record. Matt, I'm gonna let you get back in and correct me if I'm wrong and talk more. Go ahead.
I don't have much. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but as far as the hockey, as far as years are concerned, I'll take Eric Lindros for example. I mean, one of the best players of the '90s, and the Flyers finally got to the finals in '97, only get swept. You know, any sport, it doesn't matter what sport it is. There's a time that window, when that window shrinks, you gotta do something. And who knows how long Ovechkin had? How many good years Ovechkin has left? So it's up to the Capitals as to what they need to do to get to the next level of them.
We're moving right along. We're gonna go into the legacy of Derek Jeter. Now Derek Jeter's number is about to be retired on Sunday on Mother's Day. So we're going to reflect and actually give a New York Yankee some credit. So Matt, what is Derek Jeter's legacy to you? Go ahead.
He's the captain, man. He is the captain of those late '90s, early 2000s. He was the only Yankee to ever reach 3,000 hits. Literally, the only Yankee to do it. Um, to me, of course, he's been the model of consistency and one of those rare athletes where he spent literally his whole entire career with just one team. Basically, when you look at Derek Jeter, he is the face of the New York Yankees, figuratively and literally. Um, and to me, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer to me. Um, the defensive numbers are there, the offensive numbers are there, obviously, and in the Hall of Fame of the first ballot, in my view, would be a complete and utter travesty. So, so excuse me. So, to me, he's been the model. He's been the model consistency. He's been Mr. Yankee, other than Mariano Rivera or Joe Torre. You know, and for me as a baseball fan, it's like literally you couldn't hate the guy. You really couldn't hate the guy, even though he was a Yankee, and it's the New York Yankees, just the evil empire. But you can't. To me, he's one of one of the best all-around shortstops in baseball, if not baseball history. But also the fact that the body work that he put with his since 1996, which was his rookie year. It was 95, 96 his rookie year. Literally says a lot. So he is pretty much Mr. Yankee of the late 90s into the 2000s so he has been he has been the model of consistency, and I expect him to be in the first ballot Hall of Fame, point blank.
For me, he will always be the likable face a team that you are supposed to hate. You know, for me, he was the athlete that transcended teams because, you know, even though he was in a Yankee uniform, you respected Derek Jeter for what he did and for what the rubber stamp that he put on the game, his professionalism, the fact that he would always show up, the fact that he was willing to basically die to play baseball and to stand for the city of New York. And you know, even as a Philadelphian, you could always appreciate the love of city and the love of everything that Derek Jeter stands for. As Matt said, "Oh captain, my captain, for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee." Man, that the quote Walt Whitman. That is a man that not just baseball bells, but bells have toned for all over the world because he has inspired so many people to play the sport of baseball and to be a shortstop and to approach their work and everything and anything in life the way Derek Jeter did. Derek Jeter is a world inspiration, right? And even though for his last championship he had to break my heart to do it to get his title, you know, I'm really not. I'm upset that the Yankees and the city of New York got a title, but you know, as I said, the most likable Yankee, the person who a lot of people wanted to be, Derek Jeter, the man, the myth, the legend. And you know, it's congrats to him on a great career. But you know, I haven't. Baseball hasn't been the same since he retired. It's just been you haven't been able to find a blue collar face like that for the sport of baseball. I think that's a good way of putting it. A face for the everyman, the blue collar working class that we all are, where we can say, you know what, if I work as hard as Derek Jeter, I can be appreciated like he was appreciated. If I show my natural talents, I can gain a following like he gained the following. And you know, Derek Jeter was basically for us a modern day inspiration. He is you know, and everything, but and probably the home runs and everything. He was our modern day in the '90s and early to late 2000s. That was the man right there. That was the man that you wanted to be. That was the man that revolutionized the game for people in their 20s and 30s right now. Right, that was the man right there, Derek Jeter, and you know uh, even as a Yankee, man, he was a great player, a professional in every way, and the game and the world of sports just hasn't been the same without him. And you know, congratulations there, Jeter, to you, to your family, as you have your number retired. Man, if I could just get one more game, man, to see you again in a glove, you don't even have to do anything and just sit there and reminisce. The person who revolutionized farewell tours. Matter of fact, it wasn't for Derek Jeter leaving, we might never have gotten farewell tours or athletes thinking about farewell tours because Derek Jeter was one of the first athletes to get one. That's how well respected and loved he was. And you know, like I said,
I think Mariano Rivera had a farewell tour too, and Poppy.
right, but you're right. But like it is it the game hasn't been the same since he left. I'm gonna leave it at that. And I think every sport needs a blue collar face, and I think Derek Jeter was the blue collar face, and he's the only one in modern day sports that I can point to as like the face of the everyman. Some people would say it's Peyton Manning. I don't consider Peyton Manning an everyman, but Derek Jeter, that's an everyman. That's a blue collar face for a sport. That's the kind of man you want for your sport. And I'm ending like this. Like I said, the sport hasn't been the same. The sports world just hasn't been the same. And the sport of baseball just hasn't been the same since that man retired. But that is a man that is a blue collar icon. I'm gonna end it saying that. Matt, go ahead and do your baseball corner, your baseball hot stove, whatever we're calling it.
The hot stuff's the off season, bro. But I'll let you know, I think there are no more single numbers left to wear in Yankee lore. Just, I gotta check on that, but there's no more single numbers, so everybody's wearing double digits. All right. With that being said, here you go. First off, the Philadelphia Phillies. Okay, put it this way, right? Pete Mackanin got a new, I think, a 1-2 year extension out of the clear blue sky. And the GM top saying, well, the team is playing better. Well, better means all around, not just one side of the game. Yes, the Phillies are hitting better, but their bullpen is par. They have given up a lot of leads, and have given up the most home runs in baseball. Yes, right. This Philadelphia Phillies team can't hold a lead to save their lives. They have lost to not only the Cubs, not only to the Dodgers, but also to the Nationals, which, yes, they're all tough teams. They're all pretty much top 3 teams in the National League, and yet, even though they got leads and everything else, they have not been able to keep them. And you blow a lead against the Seattle Mariners, that shows a serious problem there. So bullpen has been leaking oil for quite some time. If you are the Philadelphia Phillies franchise, you better do something quick. Oh, by the way, our Aaron Altherr is hitting like a man possessed. That man got 7 home runs filling in for injured Howie Kendrick. So the Phillies got another problem in their hands. What happens when Kendrick comes back? What do you do? Well, we'll see how this shapes up. Also, what I forgot to mention in the podcast 2 weeks ago was the Pirates called up their first African-born ball player. I don't forgot his name already, but there is now an actual African in Major League Baseball. And with that being said, that's pretty much my Phillies baseball take on that.
Bye. Wait, which one you got to do 26? I gotta take you.
All right, so that's the still to be named segment or whatever we're gonna call it. I'm just gonna call it Matt's baseball take. That's what I'll call it. Expect more of that towards the summer as we enter the dry sports month, where there's gonna be more baseball than anything else as we start getting into the summer. But yeah, Matt should have enough content to cover us. So the next question is, has Colin Kaepernick been blackballed? Excuse me. Go ahead, Matt.
Yes, he has been blackballed. I'm saying why he's been blackballed because he spoke up. No one likes. What's unfortunate is the man is one of the best quarterbacks in the game, and no one is giving him the light to literally create him accommodate just to say, hey, I need a Super Bowl quarterback. fix something that's going on. I really believe that this man's getting blackballed up the Watson. It's amazing to me how, first of all, San Francisco did him. And not just, as a man, but personally, but as a team. Chip Kelly just basically just dismantled and fried that team. Dismantled and fried that team. So, to see how he has really just totally destroyed that franchise is one thing. But to literally go as far as not one team give him another opportunity because the fear of fracturing the clubhouse is absurd. It really is absurd because here you go. Players has been very supportive of what he has done, and he has been a model citizen for the NFL and for the country. Never mind the fact he didn't vote, but that's neither here nor there. That man has put his money where his mouth is. He's given to charities. He's given to, I think, to the law enforcement in the Bay Area. You want an athlete like that. You want an athlete who's been very community oriented and will really put on the face of a franchise that will help you from a PR community standpoint, but also on the field. So, and like I said, I don't understand it. But I think it's silly. I think it's stupid. And if you really want, if you want a good boy, basically, Cap is not your man because he will speak out. And we're in the age of sports where if you want to speak out, you will get ostracized. But at the end of the day, we're Americans. And we have First Amendment right to speak our mind on social issues. And these athletes have a platform to do it on, in which we do not. I mean, yes, we have social media and everything else, but they have a bigger platform to do it. And this man is using it to speak his mind, and like it or not, he's using it. And to blackball this man for basically having a job is, bottom line, disgraceful. Not just to the league, it's just disgraceful outright. And if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I should be running my way to him right now because you're a dumpster fire of a franchise anyway. So why not sign him? But what they're doing to this man is wrong, outright wrong, straight up wrong. It's stupid, it's silly, and the NFL is going to pay a heavy price down the road, in my view.
Yeah, it's pretty hard, especially after Blaine Gabbert got an $850,000 contract this week, to say that something is going on with Colin Kaepernick. I think a lot of us knew that a couple of weeks ago, but it's been confirmed in the last month and a half, in the past 2 weeks as well, that something is going on with Colin Kaepernick, and this man has done a lot of PR. Matter of fact, just last week, he was handing out suits to people who had just gotten out of jail for a job fair to help them be better represented for their job, for a job fair, for felons who just got out of jail and everything. So he continues to do great work and put his money where his mouth is, donated his sneaker collection for suits for people, gave money to the homeless in San Francisco and everything else. And like Matt said, that's a player you want, but for some reason nobody wants to touch him. And I keep hearing people say that, it's because he wasn't good. But, I've seen stats where he had a better completion percentage in the last few months of the season than Drew Brees had. He had passing yards that were up there with Aaron Rodgers. Touchdown numbers are also up there with Aaron Rodgers. So if you're telling me that's a player that you don't want, then I question if you want to win as a franchise, because if nothing else, people have said, oh, he's requesting too much money, oh, he's not good, oh, is anything else? It seems like he's doing everything to not be a distraction, to do everything that you want. I mean, can he help what he did last year, the stand he took? No, he took a stand for something. He stood for something positive. It's not like he said, "Oh, I'm bending my knee for Greg Hardy and them. I want them back in the league," or something controversial like that. All he really stood for is to say that I want justice for these people that aren't getting justice. He decided to use his platform in a positive way, and because he didn't decide to use his platform in a positive way for something that can be approved of and that's not controversial, he doesn't have a job right now. And it sucks, man. It sucks. It really does that this man has no job because he chose to use his positive his platform for something that you would consider controversial, that isolates the viewers of another racist and social construction, of another demographic that you want to appeal to. And it's just not funny that this man doesn't have a job. And somebody needs to Roger Goodell. Somebody needs to pressure a team to get him, to go get him, because a man like that deserves to make money somewhere. I don't care if he has to go into it. And it seems like they won't even put him in the broadcast booth, but you'll put somebody like Jay Cutler in the broadcast booth. Or Tony, I've never been to a Super Bowl in my life unless I went there, unless I bought a ticket, Romo, right? But everybody else is getting broadcasting jobs. Now, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, if I'm a team that needs something right now, needs a good, valuable quarterback, I have, because especially if I have a quarterback that's due to get injured. Looking at you, Cincinnati Bengals. Looking at you, Indianapolis Colts. Looking at you and others, Arizona Cardinals. Like, sign this man. There is no reason that this man does not have a contract right now. And as it gets past late July, if come July 26th, when training camp starts, or July 25th, whenever training camp starts, and this man don't have a job, shame on you, NFL teams. Maybe we gotta do something to get your attention, because this is ridiculous that this man doesn't have a job and all he's done is put his money where his mouth is. Everything that we ask our athletes to do. This is why athletes don't speak up. This is why a lot of us, we kill Michael Jordan for not having a stance or having a public talking point stance on things. But I see how Colin Kaepernick has lost money, how people kill him, and how he's not on the team for speaking his mind. And I can't even blame these athletes, black, white, or anything else, for not speaking on social issues. Because this is what happens to you when you speak on social issues. Things that people don't like, things that offend the certain demographic of the population. You get blackballed. And it's a shame. Shame on you, Roger Goodell. Shame on you, NFL franchises. And that includes the Philadelphia Eagles, who I know don't really need a quarterback, but can encourage other people to go get them. That includes my beloved Eagles. Do something. Get this man a job. Get this man a quarterbacking job. Get this man in a booth. Get him somewhere close to football. Because
ESPN needs a job. Meet some guys, so they fired everybody. So
true. It's a shame on you if you are either a cable television network who needs an athlete, if you are a team that needs another quarterback, it's a shame if you don't get this man a job.
I will add to this. Obviously, this is my view on this one too. it is a shame that they're not getting looks and everything else, but also this man has literally gone to a Super Bowl. His numbers has been better than most, as you pointed out. It is. I find it hard to believe how he's not getting the looks that he needs or whatever because of his talent. And you're more worried about him being a good old boy. I believe a lot more athletes needs to speak up on behalf of this man and literally, for whatever reason, say, hey, you're more afraid to take a chance on this man than draft rookie or another player with a record. There has been redemptive stories before the NFL. Take Michael Vick for example. There's no excuse. I don't want to hear it. If this man has been a model athlete, a model citizen that you desperately been looking for after all this time, he's right there. He's ready to take it. Yeah, I'm on the bus. He's ready to take it, and it makes no sense for him to be at home, literally wasting away. Yes, he's been doing great work in the community, but that's what you want. And it'd be great if the Eagles did pick him up, but we really don't need a quarterback because we're fine. We got Carson Wentz. We don't, honestly, but New Orleans are looking at you too. You need it. So, yeah.
All right, moving right along. The Spurs have a chance against the Warriors. I'll start with this. Uh, they have a better chance than most, but their chance is basically I put them at, let's see, I give them a 40% chance to win 2 or more games against the Warriors in this series, and then I will give them a 60% chance of just winning 1 game against the Warriors. And I'm not saying it won't be a competitive series. I just fully expect, especially now, especially without Tony Parker, and if Kawhi Leonard misses more than 1 game in that series, it could be over for the Spurs. And the Kevin Durant factor is really what's going to drive whether they sweep the Spurs win 1 game or whatever. I really do hope it's a competitive on both sides. I hope it's a competitive series, right? But I don't really think the Spurs have a realistically good chance of beating the Warriors in this series. Just because, as I said, with the injuries and everything else that's against the Spurs, I don't think it'll be a good series for them. But I definitely think they'll win at least 1 game. I definitely think they'll end the Warriors' 8 or 9 game win streak. I don't think it'll happen until Game 3 or Game 4 when they go back to San Antonio. But I think that they have a good chance. They do have a strong bench, a stronger bench than most of the other teams that face the Warriors. They have some depth. So, and all that depends on LaMarcus Aldridge. But even with him, I think it only gives them 1 game. I don't think they'll win more than 1 game. Go ahead, Matt.
Man, you giving Golden State a lot of credit. Look, I think it's going to be a very competitive series. Even though there's no Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard's going to be the man. It's going to. I think the Warriors are still going to win it in 6. But every game I think will be competitive. I mean, the San Antonio Spurs have been a model team of consistency. So I expect nothing less from that. Even though there's no Tony Parker, they have been pretty much a consistent team, and never mind that 40 points rubbing of them playing against Houston. I expect this team to be very focused, very focused, and very ready to play this team. Um, to say they get swept is that's not gonna happen. That's a reach. That's a reach. You'd be lucky if you get it in 7, but I think it's gonna be in 6. Like, and I agree with you. It depends on the rate factor and how Steph Curry runs that team and stuff like that. So with that being said, to be honest with you, it's 1-6, but I expect it to be a very competitive matchup between those two teams.
Yeah, so let me just clarify. I don't think the Spurs are going to win more than one game. I'm not saying they're going to get swept. They could get swept depending on how the Warriors feel like playing around with them, but they probably will not get swept. They'll probably win at least one game. I don't expect it to go more than 5 games. I'm going to give them one game, but if they're going to have a less than healthy Kawhi Leonard, because we saw what an ankle/leg injury did to James Harden. So if Kawhi Leonard plays and puts up 11, 12 shots, is not efficient, doesn't have the shot, can't keep up with Kevin Durant, the Spurs might just get swept. But I think that they'll at least win one game. I'll give Popovich one game, right? I don't think they'll win more than one game. I'm not going to give them 2 because that will require 2 games will require either them winning both their home games or stealing one in the Oracle. So if you believe that they'll go to Oakland and steal a game from the Warriors, then yeah, more power to you. But I don't think so. So it'll go 5 or 6 games, and it might go 4, like I said, depending on Kevin Durant. That's what it depends on. So moving right along to our last couple of topics. Should the 76ers consider signing Kyle Lowry, bringing him back home? Matt?
Kyle Lowry. Now, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I really don't know because you have to look at it this way. The Sixers, no, the draft is very guard heavy, so I expect the Sixers to draft a guard. Plus, you have Ben Simmons coming off his injury, and you have Joel Embiid. God knows how that's going to work out. You know, it's enticing. It's very enticing. And the Sixers have the money to do it. Now, if you're going to pull it off, you have to win now. That's where I have to. That's where I'm at right there. If you're going to pull that type of a move, you're telling the Philadelphia franchise you're planning to win now. It is enticing, but if you're going to get Lowry here, the pieces have to be right. And Ben Simmons, who is 6'11", 7', I don't care. And with Ja and Embiid, with Lowry there, I think that's a bomb squad on paper, but in the back of my mind, I was saying do it if the price is right. Do it if the price is right and it doesn't break the budget and to break the bank of the Sixers, because you don't want to be locked down to a bad contract and then you're stuck, you screw paying them for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. But if the price is right, I say do it and see where it goes. But at the same time, you have a very guard heavy draft, so I I expect the Sixers to make the right, not just the best move, but the right move. So it's right now. I'm still wrestling with it, but it's a good idea to have. Maybe think about it. Lowry's like one of the guards. We got Simmons as a swingman, and you got Embiid down low, and John either started to come off the bench, and forgot Darius and get there. Go for it. I say just go for it because why not? If the price is right, go for it.
You know what? I say go for it just because that stops Ben Simmons from being the turnover machine that he was in college while playing the point guard. Uh, let him come in. So Ben Simmons, like Matt said, can be the swing man, and then you can figure out ultimately like what are you going to if you're going to do something with Jalo Okafor or whatever, get you a spot there, or is it going to keep Jalo Okafor and just have him in the power forward position, and that way it'll be Embiid, Okafor, Ben Simmons, Kyle Lowry at point guard, and then all you just need is a shooting guard, and you're actually pretty good. You're better than what you were last year. And if you get Kyle Lowry, you want to talk about a win now move. That is a move that is going to send signals to the fan base that we're thinking playoffs, because as I've said on this podcast a lot that all the Sixers need is a point guard, and once they get a good point guard, it'll all fit together, and they could probably be a playoff team within the next year and a half to 2 years. And if they get Kyle Lowry, if they spend the money to get Kyle Lowry, then they can make the playoffs next year. If everything comes together and they gel and everything, I think that they can compete for the eighth spot, and not only compete for the eighth spot, but get into the playoffs. That's what I think. If they sign Kyle Lowry, get more of a bench around him. I know he's kind of old at 32, but like I said, all we need is a serviceable point guard who can make good decisions, keep Embiid happy, keep Jalo Okafor happy. A point guard who doesn't really need to score, is more of a pass first, shoot later point guard. And that Kyle Lowry fits the bill for that, man. So yeah, I say go for it. Go for it, man. Go for it. And the Washington Wizards came back and beat the Celtics. Game 7 on Sunday. We got a Game 7 and a Game 1. Y'all should be really excited. It's the best time for basketball, best time for playoff basketball. John Wall with the last-minute three-pointer to even up the series and everything. Great basketball right there. But yeah, for the Sixers, man, if Kyle Lowry's available and he wants to come to Philly and he wants to come make Joel Embiid, Jalo Okafor, and Ben Simmons the core that you want them to be, do it. Why not do it? What do you have to lose, man? Just do like Nike, man. Just do it. Give him the money. Show him the money. Moving right along, we're going to change the topic up. So this will be our last topic of the night. Going to let Matt talk about the Charles Barkley series since he brought that up. Go ahead, Matt.
You know what? I'm going to pass it off to you because I'm about to get off the bus, so I'm going to pass it off to you, and I'll speak up on it.
All right. I haven't really. I heard about it. I heard it was filming last summer. He came here to Philly at one point, and for Charles Barkley, because I think he has some. I won't say ignorant, but some different views on race. I know he's one of them people like Stephen A. Smith. He thinks that black people shouldn't vote so disproportionately for Democrats, and that we should go Republican, and he has some varying degrees of opinions on these things, and I definitely think that he has opinions that should evolve, and I hopefully have evolved more since he embarked on this tour last summer. And he said he learned a lot and everything, and some people are saying it's an enlightening thing and should be an enlightening tool to help people understand both sides of the argument and everything. But I just think that uh, Charles Barkley is kind of the wrong person for a show like this because he's not known for having a good temper. He's not known for being able to keep his tongue in his mouth and not overspeak. He definitely overspeaks on his welcome, and I saw some of the videos, some of the preview of it last year after he shot it, and he seemed very combative, not willing to listen. And I hope he proves me wrong with the series, but I just think that he is the wrong person to be delivering this message. I think that much more can be accomplished with the town halls, because that's something I've yet to see, a town hall on race relations, where instead of having an expert, you let people that are just regular people, black, white, Puerto Rican, just talk and get some understanding, not with anybody moderating it besides the news person, not doing it through some politician, doing it through some athlete. Just let the regular people just talk and get some understanding about race and the difficulties of affirmative action, why affirmative action exists, and different things. And we can really get to the meat and potatoes of this divide in this country if we really just stop having talking heads and people that are more famous than anything else, like, and have money now just talk at people and try to learn. I just think it'd be better just to have the regular people. But I'm willing to give this show a chance and to see what happens with it. But I definitely think Charles Barkley is the wrong person to be doing this kind of thing just based on his attitude and his history. And I wonder, other than a paycheck, what was really accomplished by letting him do this for 3 months, 4 months last year. Go ahead, Matt. Matt, you
Yeah, there I am. Phone's been acting like a pea head. Um, I've seen on the talk show circuit, pumping up his show and everything else. And my thing is simply this: we all know who Charles Barkley is. For those of you that follow him on NBA and everything else, he's very outspoken. And wherever he talks about, he's going to speak his mind. Um, there's some stuff about this. He talks about race. I personally disagree with. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I do disagree with some points, with some parts of it. So, so here you go. The most important thing is there's a conversation that is taking place, and that's at least a start. Now, I don't agree with the fact that that we should be proportionately be voting one party or another, but I, what I what basically what it is, you vote for whoever speaks best when it comes to your voice politically. Who speaks your political voice? And unfortunately, the majority of those people are Democratic because because it speaks to their to their personal issues and their personal beliefs. Now, with that being said, it is a this show. I mean, I've seen the previews myself, and I'm interested into wanting to know and find out. Okay, what direction are you going? What point are you taking? And not only what have he learned from it, but also what me as a viewer would you want me to learn? What you want me to see?
So that's another thing right there. Also, let's, the best thing I can say is we gotta at least keep an open mind about what he may talk about or what he may present. So I'm not I'm on the side. Okay, let's see what he says. Let's see what he got. If it's inflammatory, okay, we'll shut it off. But at least it sparks some type of a conversation that we Americans have either neglected to do, or it's a big elephant in the room, and we don't want to recognize it or talk about it or don't worry about it. Like, it's there. Here's 2017. There's no excuse, and it must be addressed. It has to be addressed. If we don't address it now, we will never address it, and situations will escalate. I mean, you can say, well, he's not the right person to talk about it, but it doesn't matter who talks about it. At this point, whether you be on the right side or on the wrong side, or quiet or outlandish, the fact of the matter is somebody is talking about it, someone is bringing it up, and most importantly, someone say, hey, let's come to the table, hash out the differences, and have at it. And that's the most important thing when it comes down to what Charles Barkley's doing. How is he going to do it? But at least it opens up the conversation table.
I see what you're saying, and I definitely agree that at least he's having a conversation. But like you said and you share, man, I just don't know if he's the right person to do it. And to me, like I'm trying, I'm definitely gonna keep an open mind. I want to see how the show, like I said, I want to see how it goes. I give it like first 2 episodes to see how it goes. But I think that it's going to be a good conversation. But I just want to know like how much of this is going to be shut down by his combative nature. And I just don't think that he's the. I think what I'll say is this, right? I'm not gonna poo poo on it. I'll just say go in this, no matter what show you, no matter if you're a supporter of Charles Barkley or not. Go in this with low expectations. Uh, Approach this like you would a movie that you are anticipating, but you know might be overhyped. Approach this conversation like that, meaning don't go in there thinking that you might get uh, black people and white people both admitting what we both do wrong to expand the racial division in this country on both sides and everything else. Don't expect that. Go in there with very low expectations. Go in there expecting to learn something, but just don't go in there with expectations as high as they are.
I mean, I'm gonna say this too. I'm gonna say I agree with you on the low bar bit, but however, it's this way too. Don't go in there looking for anything super duper deep. But you have to go in this thing like, okay, uh, they're going to be like at least a nugget or two, at least one or two. That's just me. I'm like, let's see where this thing goes. Right, who knows? But let's see where this thing goes. Basically.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just saying that I don't want nobody hearing what any of us say or what their friends say and thinking this going to be like NBA on TNT Thursday night basketball good. Like go in there with low expectations. Again, this is Charles Barkley out of his element talking about race issues, and we don't know how this went. So we won't know until the show ends. The only people that know how it went is God and Charles Barkley. So, Go in there. Go in there. I really do. If this show can solve the racial divisions, which I know it won't, but this show can help us get there, then so be it. Then it's done its job. But go in there with low expectations. And I really do hope, and I wish Charles Barkley success. I want to see if he got anything out of it. I want to see how he feels about basically the listening tour he went on and the education tour he went on to talk about race. So I'm interested to see how this went and to see if it did heal anything. But we'll see. I mean, that's what I guess we all agree on. Like, take a wait and see approach with this. They'll go in there overhyping it. They'll go in there, just go in there with a semi to low bar, and see how it goes. That's all you can really do, and just hope that if nothing else, you can see a changed Charles Barkley and maybe give the world a changing perspective on race in this country. Yeah, so that was episode 31 of the Crossover Sports Podcast, man. Thank you for joining us. As I said, Trey is at a retreat. He'll be back next week. It's I don't think Matt will be here next week because he has something next week. But we will become a full podcast once again around the week after next. So probably the Friday before Memorial Day. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be an exciting few weeks. Summer's coming up. Thank you all for watching us, whether you're watching us currently or gonna listen to it later. Thank you all for the support. Thank you, Matt, for rocking out with me on a Friday night. I know we have men's breakfast tomorrow, Lord willing, but thank you for rocking out anyway. Definitely to the mothers that listen to this podcast. If you have a mother, to my mother, I'm sure Matt agrees to his mother as well. Trey's mom, and to all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day weekend. Thank you for all that you do for us as sons, supporting us, encouraging us. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you all for the support. Have a great weekend. Deuces.